Hi, I'm Steve Lagerstrom, Corporate Product Specialist for the Park Place Car Dealerships, and this is the 2014 Boxster S. The new Boxster is more powerful, lighter weight, slung a little bit lower, has a slightly longer wheelbase, and has a wider track than its predecessors. This car is an unbelievable handling car on the road. I had the opportunity to drive it over the last week. I can tell you, I've been with Park Place for 20 years. We carry some of the finest luxury automobiles on the planet, and I had more fun driving this car than I've had driving a car in nearly a decade. This vehicle corners like a dream. The wider track, the Z-rated and actually N-rated tires stick to the road like you're driving with something that has flypaper on the surface of the tires. It's just really unbelievable how this car handles a corner. The acceleration, unbelievably smooth. There are two versions of this car. There's the Boxster S, which you see here, and the standard Boxster. Just absolute thrill to drive this car. The vertically contoured headlights are reminiscent of the Porsche race cars of the 1960s and 1970s, while the larger air intakes give the front end a more powerful, more aggressive appearance. The large side air intakes are reminiscent of the 718 RS60 Spyder, a lightweight mid-engine race car from the 1960s. So one of the huge advantages of the mid-engine design of this vehicle is the handling characteristics that it gives the car. Because the engine's in the center of the vehicle, the weight is evenly distributed between the front and the rear wheels. That allows the car to have perfect balance going through corners. You can even outmaneuver more powerful cars in this vehicle because of the way the engine is set up. The way this vehicle handles, I'm not quite certain how you'd roll it over, but if you manage to do so, there's a new supplemental safety system behind the rear headrest that's made out of a composite of aluminum and steel designed to protect the occupants in a rollover. The rear spoiler is not only a visual treat, but it also deploys automatically to reduce lift. So at 75 miles an hour, this is fully deployed, meaning that as the airflow comes over the back end of the car, it's pushing down on the spoiler, reducing lift from the rear wheels. You can see it makes a seamless transition into the LED tail lights. For a vehicle this size, the Boxster has a surprising amount of storage. You have one storage compartment in the rear and one in the front. That's because, of course, the engine's in the middle. You've got a deeper 5.3 cubic foot storage space here where you have about 4 feet, just a little over 4 feet, but it's a longer and more narrow space in the back. So if you have something that's a little bit taller, like a piece of luggage, you can put a couple of suitcases in here. And in the back, you can lay something a little bit flatter, but you have great storage space in this car for the size vehicle that it is. In the previous Boxster, there was a manual coupling needed to engage the retractable soft top. On this vehicle, it's complete power, and the whole operation takes place with the engine running in about 9 seconds. The new cockpit is laid out in a much more functional and ergonomic manner than its predecessor. A lot of the controls have been taken off of the dash and moved down to the center console. That allowed Porsche to move the dash forward, giving a feeling of a lot more room inside this vehicle. This particular vehicle has an extremely comfortable, well-contoured seat that fits you like a fine suit. I noticed in this car that I still had ample headroom, and I'm well over 6 feet tall. The PDK transmission, which this vehicle has, is an option, but when you get that, you get the little paddle shifters up here in the steering wheel. So if I want to upshift or downshift, I can use these when I'm in the manual mode. If I'm in the automatic mode, maybe there's heavy traffic that day, I just flip it back over into drive and off I go, and I don't have to worry about the shift points at all. There's a stalk control on the right-hand side of the steering wheel that allows you to shift from gauge to gauge. So I can move it over from, right now I'm looking at the engine temperature, the oil coolant. I can move it over here and look at G-forces. Now, one of the things that I really enjoyed about this car, I had never seen a G-force gauge before. The G-force gauge will show you what kind of G's you're pulling as you go in and out of turns. Don't spend all your time watching the gauge as you're going through the turns, of course, but it's interesting to see what kind of G's this car can pull, and it can do a pretty incredible job of pulling G-forces into the turns. You've got a chronometer, but if you want to take it out in the track and measure track speeds, it's designed for that. And you've got trip computers, navigation, which is an option on this vehicle, but if you have the optional navigation, you'll see a gauge in here for that, as well as the 4+ inch display that's on the center of the vehicle. One of the intangibles with any vehicle is what I'll call the it factor. One of the best barometers of the it factor are teenagers. I have 2 of those at home. I have the luxury in my capacity at Park Place to drive a lot of the world's finest luxury cars. For the first time in a long time, when this car wasn't in the driveway the next day, my son came out, who's 15 years old, and said, "Where's the Porsche?" My daughter on the last day of the school asked me if I could bring one home so she could show up to the school, 7th grade graduation, in her Porsche. There is a serious it factor with this vehicle. Thanks so much for viewing this video. If you'd like more information about the new Boxster, please visit us at parkplace.com. We'd love to see you, and I think you'd look great in this car.